Dear Eleanor, thank you for your letter. Glad you did well in your exams. Fingers crossed for the SATs. Now for Dunkirk. As a territorial member of the Medical Corps Field Ambulance, I was moved on Boxing Day 1939 to a small town in France called Bec-en-Caux. After a short time here, we were moved north, eventually reaching Lille in Belgium. Slowly being forced to retreat, my unit was split up in small sections and linked to various infantry or artillery units. I was in a section of 5 medics and infantry, and almost at the end of May 1940, we were left on our own, having been told that a retreat to a place called Dunkirk was being sped up. With our own large packs on our backs and a large pack of medical supplies on each side, walking became very tiring, and we were lucky and pleased to come across an empty farmhouse with only an old horse and 4 chickens wandering about. We stayed here overnight, and one of my colleagues had the brilliant idea of using the horse to take us on our way. One would lead the horse, and the other 4 would ride for an hour. Several hours later, foot and saddle sore, we reached Dunkirk, and were amazed at the number of soldiers roaming about on the beach, and others trying to find shelter from bombs and shells, as nobody had been told when or if ships were to come and pick them up. As the port was being bombed and shelled most of the time, an infantryman suggested we shoot the horse in case it was wounded. We solemnly said our thanks and goodbyes, and one shot finished off our 4-legged friend. Transport would be made unusable by having engines smashed, and any artillery by having the firing mechanisms damaged. After a few nights on the beach, we were eventually moved onto a long concrete platform reaching out from the shore several hundred yards into the sea where boats could tie up to. Every 20 yards or so, tins of corned beef were left, with stacks of biscuits for all who were hungry. In my case, a smallish boat, the Hebe, pulled in and took on about 150 of us, and my Dunkirk was ended. Finally, to answer your question, was it a triumph or defeat? I would say both. My reasoning being a triumph because so many of our troops were saved from the Nazis, and as for defeat, many of the troops had been killed and the whole project having to be abandoned. Some of your sources can never have read about Dunkirk, as the place was never calm from the time of the evacuation was ordered. As I mentioned earlier, bombs and shells were constantly falling on the town and beach area where many of the troops were, together with the thoughts of, will I be lucky to catch a ship back to England? Hope you enjoy Holland. Love to you all, Uncle Alan.